Is me. Awesome. And we have somebody new here in the house, Pat Snow. Um, Great to see you. We haven't met before. Love welcoming in new people. Jason Croft in the house. You and Nicole had a great conversation today. Very excited about that. And tonight, you're in for a special treat. One of my favorite people, Chris Kenny, is here. He is a certified YOS coach, and you're all going to get to take the YOS tonight, which is normally to take the whole assessment is a paid thing. And Chris is giving that to everyone who's in attendance tonight. And we're going to get to talk about your why, your what, and your how. And he's also gifting conversations with him. So, Chris, just to talk about you for a second, we met a long time ago, and it was one of those relationships where we've stayed in touch over the years. I actually don't remember where we met. I just knew that he was really, really special. He's an executive coach for CEOs, and he believes not only that businesses can, but they must be a force for good. He's a conscious capitalism fan, a B Corp fan. So lots of the same morals and values about business that I have. So it was instant resonance between the two of us. Like I said, he's a certified Y Institute coach, and has helped hundreds of individuals discover their unique Y operating system, me included. And I'm really excited for this conversation tonight. Chris, I'm going to give you the floor after we go around the room and everybody just does a quick introduction, like 10 seconds. Hi, I'm Suzanne. I am a business coach for entrepreneurs who want to make more money, upgrade, and work less. And that's the model for the intro. And we're going to start with Judy Kane.
Hi, I'm Judy Kane. My business is Aligned Consciousness, and I help people take out their head trash, which means when people get stuck and overwhelmed, I can help them change those subconscious beliefs that are blocking them.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. We're going to go to Lorne, followed by Charlotte Berry.
Thank you, Suzanne. My name is Lauren from Phoenix, and I'm a video producer. I do social media marketing as well, but I focus on video production. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. Charlotte, followed by Michael Lamana.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Berry. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I have the communication advantage, so I help companies eliminate the fistfights in the break rooms by eliminating conflict through better communication.
I love it. Only ever had one fight at work. Could have used you back then, Charlotte. Michael, followed by Jason Croft.
Michael Lamana, business coach, consultant. Great businesses do not happen on accident. Give me a call.
Nice. Short and sweet. Jason, followed by Andrew.
Jason Croft, I'm a visibility coach. I pull out your unique genius and package that up for the world.
Nice. And if you're a fan of this package, that's who did it. Thanks, Jason, for all your help. I appreciate you. Andrew, followed by Shop.
That's me. I'm Andrew. Our company is the Fangled Group, and we are business strategists. We basically in the business of preventing people from wasting tons of money on tactics that aren't based on any kind of core strategy, and really understanding what is the value proposition from the customer, not from the owner of the business.
Well said. Well said. Shaf, followed by Sajad.
Hi there, my name is Shafkat. Still kind of in the process of narrowing down what exactly I do with Suzanne, but I have a few different agencies that provide a few different services. So digital marketing, so ads on Google, social media. We are a high-level agency, so providing CRM and digital marketing services there. And then I also run a virtual assistant agency.
Great. Thanks for being here, Shaf. Sajad, followed by Dr. Dorothy.
I'm rich and famous and extremely humble. I'm a genius. If you haven't met with me yet, There's something wrong with your brain.
Great. Glad to know everything's okay with my brain. Thanks for being here. Dr. Dorothy, followed by Rob Fenstermaker.
I am Dr. Dorothy Martin Neville. I guide leaders through the gift of transition so that they can go through a major transformation and come out the other side completely free.
Nice. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, darling. Good to see you.
You too.
I bit my tongue on the last comment.
You laughed. I saw you laugh.
I'm damn glad I didn't.
Yeah. Rob, followed by Susie Taylor.
I am Rob Fenstermaker coming to you from sunny Southwest Florida. I get you out of the rut and get you in action. You know what? I'm kind of missing that hair I used to have from the early 80s. I want it back.
Nice. Nice. Susie, followed by Troy Seward.
Hi, I'm Susie Taylor from Columbus, Ohio. I am a story brand guide, and I help business owners attract and help their customers by inviting their customers into a story.
Nice. Troy, followed by Drew.
Good evening, everyone. Troy Seward from the southwest suburbs of Chicago. I train police officers to confidently respond to mental health crisis situations and resolve them effectively. And Rob, if you happen to find out where your hair is, let me know because mine might be there as well.
Common problem. Common problem. Drew, followed by Jacob, first timer.
Hey, everybody. I'm Drew Durrani with Profit Compassion, leading the Mindful Man movement. I always often ask men, are you living the life that you want to live? Or are you living the life that you believe others want you to live? My mission is to guide men to tap into their natural power through self-discovery, to write their own story instead of letting others write it for them.
Well said. Well said. Jacob, welcome for your first time to Coach Conversations.
Hello, all. I'm in the state of Rhode Island, and I own a small design firm called Gym Spaces Design and Consulting, and we design gym spaces of all shapes, size, and uses. That's me.
Nice. Great. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I have some great trainers to connect you with. Awesome. Benita, followed by Travis. Welcome, Benita. Great to see you.
Great to see you as well, Susan. Thank you for the invitation. I'm Benita Williams, the self-care surgeon out of North Carolina as well. And I help high achievers who feel burned out to revive and thrive in purpose.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. Great to have you. Travis, followed by Rob Murray. Oh, you're on mute, Travis.
Sorry about that. Hi, everybody. I'm Travis Dumont, and my company is Manifesting Consciousness. I help my clients transcend ego addiction and achieve fundamental well-being.
Well, thanks for joining us. Great to have you. Rob Murray, followed by Daniel Andrews.
Hi, I'm Rob Murray from San Jose, California, and I help coaches and leaders of personal development organizations close that 20% gap. Like they can get themselves 80% of the way, but there's 20% that they can't close the gap through integrating AI tools and combining it with coaching and facilitation and business building skills.
And super knowledgeable about facilitation, Rob is as well. Daniel Andrews, followed by Don O in the house.
Daniel Andrews. People hire me to identify, find, meet, and build productive, profitable referral relationships. I help people transition from casual business card exchange to key referral partnerships. And I work with people a lot in the business to consumer, the one on every corner space.
Yes. Thanks for being here. Don O, how are you?
Good, Suzanne. Thank you.
Yeah.
How are you, old friend? Daniel, I'm assuming that if they don't follow your rules, that sword over your left shoulder is going to come into play.
Yeah, that's a new addition to the brand.
Nice. And Troy and Rob, if you find hair, please send some my way too. I'm a fractional chief people officer, so I help people with their culture and then hire appropriately to buttress that culture or help them fix it. fire or fix that person that's giving you a headache.
Nice. Fire or fix. I love it. Pat Snow, can you come off mute and give yourself a quick intro? If not, it's totally fine.
I can go again.
Pat Snow, there you are.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm Pat Snow from Canada, Montreal, Canada, and I work primarily with alternative health practitioners who really take marketing to simplify their marketing and have messaging that works for them to get more clients.
Great. Well, thanks for being here. All right. So now I'm going to turn the floor over to Chris Kinney. He is our featured guest, and we're going to have an amazing conversation about your why tonight. And Chris, I'm going to spotlight you.
Okay.
There we go. Take it
All
away,
right.
my friend.
Great. Well, listen, thank you for having me. It was really cool to hear what everybody does. And so anyway, I'm really impressed with the group that's here. So thank you all for being here. This will be, this is one of those presentations that will rely to some degree on technology. And so I always approach these with a bit of trepidation only because technology can be a funny thing, but we're going to do our best and hopefully things will go off without a hitch as they have done in other circumstances. So what are we here to talk about? I can't, with the spotlight, I can't really see it, but I suspect that most of you, or a good number of you, are familiar with Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. And if you haven't read the book, there is a famous TED Talk that he gave, one of the most popular TED Talks of all time, apparently, that he gave in 2009. And he talks about what's called the golden circle. So if you imagine an archery target with 3 concentric circles, the outermost circle, he described as, he was talking about this in the context of businesses. And he said most businesses do a fine job of communicating what they do. We build computers, we manufacture phones, we're business coaches. He said fewer, but some also do a good job, reasonably good job, of communicating how they go about doing what they do in a way that makes them different from their competitors. So I coach purpose-driven CEOs. I manufacture smartphones, whatever it might be, something that's unique. But his premise in the TED Talk, and then later on in the book Start With Why, was that there are few but very notable exceptions that actually communicate why they are doing what they do in the first place. And one of the examples that he gave throughout the book was Apple computers, or Apple as an organization. And Apple, as you all know, was founded by Steve Jobs, who really led the company until his death. And Steve Jobs was not about coloring in the lines. He was all about redefining what the entire landscape was going to look like. And so many of you probably know the story that when the iPhone was first developed, the cellular phones were out there. You had Nokia and Motorola and Emerson were big cell phone manufacturers. And the networks on which those phones operated really dictated what went into the phone. And Steve Jobs came along and said, no, this is the phone that I am building, and here are all of the things that it will do. And you will build a network that supports all of this. And the only one to bite was AT&T. And so that's the reason for the first, I want to say, maybe 8 years or so, you could only operate an iPhone on AT&T's network. And of course, we know the rest is history. Well, Steve Jobs also revolutionized the music industry. No one buys music the way they used to anymore. He revolutionized the animation film industry. And so his why was really all about challenging the status quo. And Sinek talked quite a bit in the book about all of that. And so while this why thing does apply to businesses, it also is applicable to individuals. So fast forward to what you are going to get to experience this evening, which is to discover your why, your how, and your what. And what you will experience in the next couple of minutes when you go to do it is there is an algorithm that has been built that enables people to discover their why, how, and what in under 10 minutes, which is what you're going to do here in a couple of minutes. Now, very quickly, the backstory about that I'll cruise through very fast is that a colleague of mine here in Albuquerque, I'm based in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's a colleague of mine through a series of relationships, actually got to speak with Simon Sinek. Of course, I can never tell this story without saying, Simon says. So there you have it. So my friend Gary saw the TED Talk, read the book, got in touch with Simon and said, Simon, can you help me discover my why? And Simon said to Gary, I don't do that. And Gary was like, WTF, you wrote a book, you got a TED Talk. So over the next several years, Gary became obsessed with the notion of helping people discover their why. And over the course of now more than a dozen years, he has done thousands and thousands and thousands of these why discoveries and built an algorithm that now enables all of us to discover our why, how, and what in a matter of minutes. The Why Institute, which my colleague Gary founded to pursue this venture, is on a mission to help over 1 billion people discover their why, how, and what. I've been a why coach for a number of years. Here's where I come from. Suzanne, in her email to all of you, said you'd be introduced to the 3 life questions. I'm going to quickly go through those and tell you why this why stuff matters to me. And the quick story is an international study of people facing a terminal illness. What I discovered in reading through the results of it were that everyone, no matter what their culture was, their upbringing, where they lived in the world, whether they had a religious affiliation or not, as they look back on their lives to give themselves some context for meaning, they were really asking themselves some form of 3 really important questions. The first one, did I give and receive unconditional love in my life? Second, did I become the best possible version of myself? And the third, did I leave the world a little better? And I'm sort of on a mission, utilizing this why as one tool in my toolkit to enable purpose-driven CEOs to be able to answer yes to those 3 questions. And the why operating system really sort of ties into the second one. Did I become the best version of myself? And a number of you in your introductions were talking about how you coach people become the best versions of themselves and applying that in whatever they choose to do. Well, when you understand your own why operating system and when you understand that of your teammates, it enhances productivity, communication, a sense of fulfillment, because when what you are doing is inspired by what really motivates you, life is good and you're happy. Last thing I'll say to tee this up is that And Sinek talked about this in the Golden Circle and in the book. This is all limbic brain stuff. Like this is stuff that taps into your feelings and emotions. And physiologically, our brains are wired such that the part of our brain that governs speech and language is not connected directly to the part of our brain that governs how we feel and the emotions we have, which is why Hallmark greeting cards can charge you $8.50 for a card that consists of maybe 20 words. They have mastered the art of translating into language feelings and emotions. So when you get the results of your why discovery, it's really tapping into where you feel most successful. All right. So that's sort of the backdrop of all of this. So Gary's why operating system discovery that you're going to experience really takes Simon Sinek's idea that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And when you're able to come from that place of why you do what you do, you can be far more effective in attracting to yourself the kinds of clients, the business you want to do, and you will feel far more fulfilled in your own work and life. So that's the tee up for it, makes it actionable. And so what I want to transition to now is actually making it actionable for all of you. So as Suzanne said, you know, my gift to all of you for putting up with me for the hour is to enable you to discover your why, how, and what. And the way we're going to do this is I'm about to share my screen, and on my screen will be a QR code. And all you need to do is take out your Apple or other type of device, shoot a copy of the QR code, and it will take you to a page where you will just have to fill in a couple of pieces of information, first name, last name, email, etc. And then it'll launch you into the why discovery. And again, with the exception of Sajad, I suspect that most of you will be able to complete this in under 10 minutes. So with no further ado, and Suzanne, I don't know if we've got any questions or anything coming up for now.
No. Do you want me to share the link in the chat as well?
Yes. So for those of you who are QR challenged, like I probably would be, Suzanne is going to put and did put into the chat, thank you, a link that you can use if you prefer to do it that way. So I will now share my screen. Okay, we're going to share this. Okay. Suzanne, can you see that?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, so there's the QR code. You are welcome to shoot that and go through the process. I'm going to pause my presentation and allow people to actually get going. Okay?
Perfect. And does anybody have any questions? I'm going to take Chris off spotlight. Does anybody have any questions? Just feel free to unmute. If you have any tech issues, if you're not interested in taking the test, goodbye. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Boy, I'm feisty tonight. Feisty tonight. We'll still hang out with us because we're still going to have a great conversation. We're going to give about 7 to 10 minutes to take the test instead of in lieu of breakout rooms tonight. And then we'll come back and Chris and I will facilitate a conversation and some engagement around this. Sound good?
I think it sounds amazing.
I do too.
Suzanne, why are people so mean to me? Because, you know, it hurts my feelings when people are mean to me.
It's your fault for taking it negative. I took it as it was a huge compliment that you were going to be done faster than everybody else. So maybe we need to have a talk about your negative bias. Boy, I'm feisty tonight. Woo! What happened? I had enough caffeine today, I
I was
think.
like, well, that was like, wow.
Yeah.
That was good.
I didn't plan that either. So feel free if anybody is stuck, unmute yourself, ask your questions. And we'll be back. Let's see. Our time right now is 7:25. We'll come back here. Chris, what time do you think? 7:35? Give them 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. If most people seem to be done before then, we'll.
Okay. When you're finished, come back and raise your digital hand. That'll be awesome.
As you are going about taking this, here's the important thing. Answer as quickly as possible and answer from your gut regarding what is most like you. Okay? So don't try to game it or try to figure out who you're supposed to be. You really just need to answer authentically.
I'm done because I'm smarter than everybody else.
I'm glad you're finally starting to believe in yourself.
Yeah, but did you fill out your profile? I've already done both.
Sorry, I filled mine out about 10 minutes ago. I was just taking a break. What's going on?
I did mine yesterday.
Smartassery is contagious.
Once Jod starts it, man, we just can't help it. It's
I
all his fault.
know. It's like a free-for-all.
Yeah, but he didn't raise his digital hand. He didn't follow the rules.
He did. He put it down. You missed it.
I didn't see it. It wasn't there.
You're too slow on the uptake, Drew.
Mine is black, so you probably ignored it.
Oh boy. All right. Reel it in. Mute yourself. How's everybody doing? Good.
I'm downloading my PDFs.
Good job. All right, Chris, I think we could get started.
Yeah, I was gonna cue the Jeopardy music.
Okay.
But
Can you
let's
do
just
I don't know how to do that on
that's
Zoom.
okay. Let's just roll.
Okay.
Okay. So here's what we're gonna do with this information. I just want to say that in doing thousands of these so far, now it's in the tens of thousands now. What Gary ended up finding was that there are effectively 9 whys, 9 categories that generally people break out into. And what you have just found are the top 3 motivators for you, the things that where you feel these 3 things, you are feeling very successful in whatever it is that you're doing. And the more you can align these 3 things with whatever it is that you are engaged in, you are probably going to be happier. You're going to feel more fulfilled. You're probably going to do a great job at whatever it is that taps into your top 3. And so you can see on the screen, right, how, people sort of what their why, how, and what is. So what I'm curious to know is, can you see that? Is it still showing?
No, you have to share again.
Sorry, my apologies. Okay. Let me share my screen again. Here we go. There we go. All right. Everybody see it?
Yep.
Okay. So here's my question, and anyone is welcome to raise their digital hand and come off mute. What I'm curious to know is, how does that feel for you? Does it feel accurate? And the way I want to do that is what I'd like to invite a volunteer to do is come off mute. And one of the things that you received when you got your results, it should be what's called your simple YOS, right? It's, I feel, you know, my why is to blank. How I do that is blank. And what people can count on me for is blank, right? Okay, so Judy, thank you for playing our game tonight. Thank you for volunteering. So,
Absolutely.
So Judy, would you do us a favor and simply read through your simple YOS?
So by reading through it, you mean like what's on my phone?
Yes, it should say, my why is
simplify.
There you go. How I like to do that is
to clarify.
And ultimately, what people can count on me for is
to contribute.
So let me ask you, if you read it that way, my why is to, what was it again?
Simplify.
Simplify. How I like to do that is by making things crystal clear to other people. And ultimately, what people can count on me for is to contribute to a greater cause, be part of something bigger than myself.
Yes.
How does that feel right to you?
It does. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. Did you any questions, Judy, about it? Or were you surprised by the results?
No, that's exactly what I do with people, right? I mean, they come in with stuff they don't understand, and I help simplify it, clarify it for them, and then help them get to a place where it's better. So it's exactly right on target.
Fantastic. That's great. That's great. I'm glad. And thank you for sharing it. There's some other nuanced stuff, but we don't have time for that. I just want to, is there someone else? Do we have another volunteer who's willing to read through? Susie.
Okay. My why is I believe that success happens when I contribute to a greater cause.
Okay.
How I do that is by making things clear and understandable. Ultimately, what I bring is a trusting relationship where others can count on me.
Wow. How does that feel?
Feels right.
Yeah. And so again, to go back to sort of, brain biology for a second, what the why discovery mechanism is all about is giving you language to be able to say clearly where you feel most successful, right? So if I put Susie in a position where those three things are true for her on a regular basis, right? You're going to feel like it's almost like it's not work. I won't go quite that far, but people talk about being in the zone, and obviously, your skills and talents and all the values, like Suzanne and I are fans of values in action, all of those things. This does not replace any of that stuff. It doesn't push it to the side. But what my experience as a coach is that there are a whole lot of great tools out there, DISC, Myers-Briggs predictive index. There are a whole bunch of things that will tell me what your behaviors are likely to be, both in a stressful situation or not. What this discovery tool does is it sort of gets beneath that and explains why you're taking the action or behaving the way that you are in most cases. Does that make sense? Good. Thumbs up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much. Lauren, thank you for volunteering. I'd love to hear what your simple YOS is. Go ahead and read through it.
Thanks, Chris. So I emailed it to me. I'm thinking, okay, discover the why. Yep. So it's gain a clear understanding of my motivations and passions, make decisions with greater clarity and purpose, and embrace my unique strengths and talents.
Yes, that's absolutely what this is used for. Did you get, though, the part of the thing that says my why is this? How I like to do it is this. Hang on just a second. So I can actually see it. So Lauren, let me go down to you. So your why is to create relationships based on trust. How you like to do that is by making things crystal clear for yourself and others. And ultimately, what people can count on you for is the willingness to think differently and challenge the status quo. Does that sound like you?
Pretty close.
Okay.
Yes.
And again, another caveat here for all of you is that, this is not about putting you in a box in any way. And for any of you that have, like Don, you have your why is to challenge the status quo and to think different. And Lauren, you have that same thing in your top 3. It happens to be in the 3rd spot. But people who have a why or one of the top 3 as challenge the status quo or think differently, oftentimes put up a great deal of resistance to the results that they get from this why discovery. Reason being, they don't believe in a box. They don't want to be put in a box. They don't want, and I'm not saying that that's true of either of you, but it's been my experience that people with that why really like, I don't know if that's really me. And a lot of times it's because they just resist having any labels put on them whatsoever. So, all right. I'm looking at the time, making sure we're good with that. So here's what I am interested in talking about for just a couple of minutes is if Simon Sinek is quite possibly correct that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And if how you go about doing what you do makes you unique in the marketplace, different from all the other coaches that are out there saying they do what you do, how might you use this YOS discovery that you've just participated in to more effectively communicate your unique offering to the world? How might you use this to perhaps connect with your clients or prospects more quickly?
Well, Chris, oh, go ahead. Who was gonna talk? Go ahead.
Sorry. Chris, thank you for that. I've been having just a tough day trying to organize and figure out what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Okay. And this is like a blessing from God to say, here's how you put it in buckets and here's how you could analyze it and actually speak about it, which is crazy. Now, I will tell you that I didn't cheat, but I got some help because on these things, I typically overthink. Yeah. And I asked my wife to come over and just say, if I pick something that was completely off, just say, what are you thinking? Right? Just raise your hand. Mm-hmm. So, because these things I try to way overthink. I mean, the Myers-Briggs, the whole thing. I mean, I'm just like, I overthink it. So this was actually a very good, I was probably one of the last ones done, but I was trying to get through it because I wasn't trying to think as much.
No, I'm glad you said that, Michael, because I happened well, full disclosure, I mean, you guys may know that Suzanne is my coach, and so I'm sure she would vouch for what I'm about to say, which is I tend to overthink or overanalyze just like you do. And my why, I'll give you my why is to create clarity. How I like to do that is by helping people solve complex problems, such as what makes them tick. And what you can count on me for ultimately is what's called mastery, which is about, I like to go deep on things with people. You're not going to get some superficial, cookie cutter thing when you're dealing with me. Having said all of that, Michael, I overanalyze because I'm looking to make things clear, and I'll ask a gazillion questions and really annoy people with that. And my wife, so having someone like your wife who knows you really well help you do that was a brilliant move, because you're going to answer one thing and she's like, "What, are you kidding me?"
Well, the interesting thing about this is I question myself on these things, but intuitively, as Suzanne's getting to know me, I'm intuitive. I get things. I feel like I get things quickly. But when it comes to this sort of stuff, man, it just locks me. And this really helped me. I mean, super
awesome.
Really. Thank you.
Great. I'm so glad. Thank you for sharing that too. Anyone else? So on the topic of, so how might you use this in the work that you do, or in a way to try to perhaps market yourself or talk to your existing customers? Might this be useful to you? And if so, how might this be helpful?
Well, Chris, I can share that since I did this earlier last year with you, figuring out that I like to challenge the status quo. So it made so much sense to me that that was my why, because I'm always thinking of, well, that's not true. That's what everybody thinks, but it's really this over here. So bringing those things to light, my clients love that. My people love that. And by leaning into that, it's how I can show my value to other people. So kind of cutting through BS. And then I like to do that by simplifying things. So I love solving problems, much like you do. So much so that I've created problems for myself just to solve them. So listen, you have to know yourself in order to fix yourself, right? And I like to do that through mastery. And mastery for me is my love of learning. I learn it quicker, so you don't have to. And it was so exciting for me just to see it so simple on a piece of paper and resonate with something that allowed me to communicate my unique genius to other people. And I think if you really look at this, and that's why I'm passionate about sharing this with other coaches, because there are so many of us, and so many times we feel kind of that our voice isn't being heard, or that we can't stand out, or, oh my gosh, there's 100 other business coaches in that group. Why am I going? And this is how you really stand out. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, great. And Troy, I want to hear from you. I just want to share this one other piece, and that is, your why, how, and what are your great, they're your top motivators. These are sort of why you do what you do. But here's the other side. There's a flip side to it, and that is, this is also what you need from wherever you are. So if you're a clarify, make sense, mastery person, right? I need to be clear on things in order to move ahead, which doesn't make me the best entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs have to operate in a gray area. I need to figure things out ahead of time. Again, that can slow me down. And the last thing that slows me down is my mastery, because I want to know something in depth before I really launch forward. So I just want to make you aware that this is both what you offer to everyone, but it also speaks to what you need in order to feel successful. So with that said, Troy, you had your hand up.
Well, yeah, you were asking for people's feedback and how this relates to what it is that you do.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, this is just a little freaky, because I answered those. I tried to do the quick impulsive and was not even thinking about what I do, which is to train police on how to better respond to mental health crisis situations. And my why is, I believe that success happens when relationships are based upon trust. My how is, how I do that is by finding better ways and sharing them. And what is ultimately what I bring is deep understanding. And all three of those speak to what it is that I do. Right? You need to build relationships with the individuals who are in crisis and get them to trust you so that you can collaborate on solutions and get them out. I have found better ways for officers to accomplish that when they go on scenes, and I have a deep understanding of what they need to do to get that done. And so what's really amazing is that I was taking this test from a personality standpoint, and yet when the results came up, it describes what I do perfectly.
Mm-hmm. And here's, another thank you, Troy, for sharing that. Here's another way in which I use this is with my clients, right? So if they do this discovery, right, I now am able to speak to them. You've heard of the golden rule, right? Treat people the way you want to be treated. The platinum rule, treat other people the way they want to be treated. So when you know this about another person, you can actually, not in a manipulative way, but you are actually speaking to them and touching upon the things that matter to them. And that really helps a relationship come together much more quickly and deeply. So thank you, Troy. Andrew.
Hi.
And then Dorothy.
Yep. I'm going to read mine and watch Suzanne's reaction. So,
like I can't hide it. What?
No. Because it's interesting, and I'm familiar with the why platform anyhow, but the why, I believe that success happens when we make sense of the complex. How I do that is finding better ways of sharing them, and ultimately what I bring is an outside the box solution. You think that's a fit there, Suzanne?
Totally.
That's what our company does.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Totally.
What's great about people who have the why of make sense, Andrew, I would suspect, and this is not trying to give you false flattery, but people who have the why of make sense are usually really quick at finding solutions to problems. They're really quick at analyzing things and coming up with, okay, here's what's going on. That's been, my experience with people who have that as their why. And Andrew, you look like you are an incredibly intelligent man, so I'm sure this is true of you.
I don't
know. well said.
Yeah, no, what we do, what my company does is at a much faster pace than all of our competitors out there, do the necessary research to come up with a solution for our client. Mm-hmm. And it's really always something completely different than what the market's doing. We always take it in a different direction. If you're in a market that's blowing millions of dollars in Google clicks, we encourage you not to be in that place and do something different.
And that's why people come to you, right? They're coming to you because you figure stuff out for them and you give them alternatives that they probably never would have thought of before.
Yeah.
So, awesome. All right. I want to get to Dorothy before I do, and then Drew, but I'm sensitive to the time. I know we have to wrap up at the top of the hour. So here's what I'm going
to We don't have to wrap up. I'll stay as
well. People may need to leave. So what I want to put here's my offer. Let me throw out to you what my offer is. We're going to put it in the chat. This is not a sales thing by any stretch. So normally $97 to take this YOS discovery, the why, how, and what. Okay. That's, if you go to the Y Institute website, that's what it costs. So for all of you, because you are friends or colleagues of STK, I will provide you with, if you you have to set up a meeting with me. We're going to put my calendar link in there. If you're interested in the possibility of using this for your clients, I will then provide to each of you a discount of 25% off of the $97 rack rate so that you can, if you choose to have your clients take this, they'll do it at a discount from the retail rate. And then we could also, if you are interested, there is a way, if you want to be certified as a Y Institute coach, there's a mechanism for you to do that. If you have an interest in going deep on this stuff and doing it all for yourself, we can talk about that when you set up a calendar, 30-minute calendar appointment. We'll talk through all of that. I am not trying to sell anybody on anything, including I'm not trying to sell you on being a Y coach. But if you are interested in it, there's a way for you to do that. Okay, I've given you my offer. So if anybody has to leave at the top of the hour, there it is. It'll be in the chat.
I don't have your calendar link, Chris. Did you send that to me?
Yeah, if so, the latest agenda I emailed to you.
Okay, I'll grab it.
Go to page 2.
Okay.
Down there. Dorothy, you've been waiting patiently. Thank you.
Yes. I'm just a saint. What can I say? All right. What I have here is challenge is my why. I absolutely love to challenge pretty much everything.
And everybody.
Thank
you
know, doing it the traditional way is what has gotten the world in the state it's in right now. So I'm all for doing things in a very non-traditional way so we can find far better solutions. The how is makes sense. And for me, working with the clients I do, they're folks in transition. They're folks who are going through a lot of discombobulation. What's really important to me is simplicity, but I want to make sense of the stories they tell themselves, because the stories they tell themselves are what create the difficulty in the first place. So if I can make sense of those stories they tell themselves, help them understand that the story is oftentimes not based in objective reality. And I do that by the 30,000-foot view. We'll let them see when you're the head of a major hospital in the United States and you tell me you've never succeeded in anything, there might not be some truth in that. So let's step back and take a look at what's really going on. So make sense of the story so I can bring the simplicity in and they can see it far more clearly. Right. And then ultimately what I bring, is to have an impact on others' lives. Because ultimately I want them to have the freedom to redefine their life in any way that works for them to achieve whatever it is they choose to achieve. But so it's really challenging the traditional way of doing things because traditionally it doesn't work. It keeps you safe, but it doesn't keep you alive.
Yep. So if someone is looking for a coach who is going to open them up to ideas and possibilities that they might never have thought of, you are a great person for them to be working with.
Right.
Yeah. Fabulous.
And for those who really got themselves so focused on success that they lost their why, and in losing the why, they lose a part of themselves, and they continuously lose more and more of themselves to all they have is success, their third or fourth wife, and all kinds of other situations, that make their life far more complicated than it needs to be.
Yep. Fabulous. Thank you. That's awesome. And I, like Suzanne, am very happy to stay past the top of the hour. So I'd love to keep the conversation going. Drew, you have your hand up.
Yes. And my why and my what is definitely me. The how is why I got fired by 2 hospitals. So here we go. Why says, I believe that success happens when we find a better way and are able to share it. My what, I'm skipping, I'll tell you the how second. What I bring is a way to contribute and add value, have an impact on the lives of others. It's the how that gets me in trouble in corporate and not in entrepreneurship. How is I do that by challenging the status quo and thinking differently. In healthcare, you got to work within the box, and I butt heads quite often. Interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, and
I feel that one.
Yeah.
And Drew, when you combine, so better way, people with a better way why are always looking to improve whatever is there. And then on top of that, though, you do that by like rethinking the way everything's done. And I get what you're saying. So inside of a very structured kind of thing, they're like, no, we don't want it to be all that different. I mean, it's okay to make incremental improvements, but don't tell us to sort of start over or tear this thing down. Is that what you were talking about?
Well, I would always question administration what their why is, and they didn't like that. And I got doctors would ask me if I was challenging their practice pattern. Not necessarily. Well, maybe. So it was Yeah, a lot simpler in a different way as an entrepreneur now. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I love that.
Yeah, right.
Well, let me just make a couple of announcements before we hit the top, and then we'll go to Don. My networking group, Community Connect, is on Thursday, the 25th at 4 p.m. If you don't have your invite to that, let me know. Just send me a message on social media. I'll get that to you. If you're a coach and you are looking to grow yourself or your practice, I am running a coach accelerator, 7-week coach accelerator, 17 coaches in the beta cohort. And I must say, we're entering into week 5, and it's the most fun I've ever had in a program. I'm loving it. And there's a couple coaches here that are in the program. Give me a whoop whoop if you're loving it too. Like, yes, it's so good. Best
It
thing
needs
I've
sound
created.
effects. Whoop whoop.
Yeah, go ahead, do the sound effects. I love
Yeah.
best thing I've ever created. If you're interested in talking about what that next cohort looks like, just book a time on my calendar. We'll talk about that. And Polarizing Networking tomorrow at 11, the only networking group that I go to. If you want that invitation, that's in the chat too. Okay, cool. Let's go to Don.
Don, and then if Charlotte is still with us.
Oh, yes, she's here.
I'd like to ask her to sort of speak to her experience with this as well, sort of more from a business design communication standpoint. Don, you have your hand. Thank you for being patient.
Hey, that's me. I'm almost as patient as Suzanne. I have Clarify as my number one, what is that, the why, right? Or I'm sorry, challenge as the number one. I'm wondering what are the downsides of that being your number one?
What are the downsides?
Yeah.
You can piss people off. Each of these has an upside and a downside. So Steve Jobs, generally speaking, was not particularly well liked by a lot of people. And that was because he didn't give a shit about what anybody thought and would speak his mind. And as a result, he revolutionized several industries. And so we sort of have him up on this pedestal. But as a person, he was not particularly welcomed by a lot of people. So, I suppose that could be the downside. Each of these, when is challenge or thinking differently too much? Like every one of these, you can, if you take it too far, you're going to annoy people. In my life, like I'm a clarifier, drives my wife crazy because I will explain something 100 times until I'm satisfied that I've painted a clear verbal picture. And she will say to me, listen, Mr. Clarifier, I got it on the 5th time you explained it. That kind of thing, right? So I hope that answers your question. I'm sure you're a nice person, Don, but that's when it could. No, you're not? Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay.
He'll tell you.
So what I wanted to do, and thank you for staying around, those of you who can. So Charlotte and I had the opportunity to work together several weeks ago now, and it was around, what her business was designed to do and how she was communicating that to people. And she graciously, I have no idea what she's going to say because she didn't tell me what she was going to say. So I'm a little apprehensive, but I wanted to invite Charlotte to just sort of share her experience about how did this why discovery thing impact her and her business. So Charlotte, if you wouldn't mind, that would be terrific.
Absolutely. I did not fill it out again tonight because I had my results from last time and didn't know if it would mess up anything. But just to recap for you, Chris, my 3 were: my why is make sense, which I think a lot of y'all were that. My how is the mastery. So I like to learn and get a deep knowledge of it. And challengingly, my what is the right way. So unfortunately, I like to do things a little too well to actually take action sometimes, as Suzanne has helped encourage me through recently. But the thing I enjoyed about my conversation with you, Chris, is we took those things and then started brainstorming ways to take those strengths descriptions, words, to actually apply it to what I can offer companies. Those of you who have the make sense one, your problem solvers, your puzzle solvers, that kind of thing. And so he helped give me some words. I went back to my notes earlier about saying I've spent 30 years mastering the art of effective communication with others, because mastery is one of my words. I believe when you solve the problem of such and such, then this. When you find somebody to find the right way to help you. And so he helped give words into marketing type phrases or message type phrases that I would have never thought about doing. So it's kind of a way to describe how I do what I do to somebody that's hearing. So if they resonate with those words that I'm describing myself, there's more of a likelihood they're going to resonate with my services. So, and he even helped me brainstorm. I mean, we were talking about puzzles, and during our conversation, I came up with this image idea that I ended up putting on a brochure that I handed out during a talk, and it was the puzzle pieces. And I help communication between different generations and between different levels of management and between different departments. And so I put together a little image of puzzle pieces, and on each of the loose puzzle pieces, I put a title, Gen Z or sales manager or executive CEO. And so I had them spread out all over the cover of the page. And then on the back of the page with my contact information, I had a nice, well put together puzzle that showed that that's what. And so that was an idea that came directly from that conversation with them. So I mentioned in the chat a minute ago that if you to just jump on Chris's calendar, I would suggest, because he can help you maybe rephrase some things or draw on your strengths that you had not thought about before.
Thank you. Thank you, Charlotte. That's great. One of the things where whether you use words like mastery or problem solver or any of the specific words in the description that you got of your why, how, and what I will share with you that I think was true with our conversation, Charlotte, is that people are out there looking for you, and when they see or hear words that resonate with what matters to them, they're going to be drawn, they're going to lean in, and they're going to say, how do I find out more about this woman, Charlotte, and what she does? Because I get this sense from reading her stuff or hearing her that she's the kind of person I need. I need a problem solver. I need somebody who really knows their stuff. And you know what? I'm in HR or whatever, where doing things the right way is really important to me. But they're not necessarily out there looking for those words, but when they hear them, right? Because Charlotte is talking to people authentically from her perspective, they're like, that's the person I need to talk to, right? And that's the idea behind how you can possibly integrate this in helping you attract the right types of clients, the people who need what you have to offer. Sajad.
Yeah, that kind of goes to my question. So Michelle Murder is a former client of mine, and she's the top sales rep for bank, right? And one of the things, and Lauren's currently in my program, one of the things that, so people are attracted to the things that they're attracted to, what they resonate with. One of the things I taught Lauren to do was be super short and concise. So I think what he told me was, Lauren, is this okay? I don't actually give a fuck. He used to send out 4-page letters to people, and I was introducing him to rich people, and I'm like, oh no, don't do that. Just send them the one paragraph. So how does your system help people, like what Charlotte was speaking to? Because the people that hire me are like Charlotte or like Lauren. They're these thinking people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck thinking, just take action. Don't think about it. Don't worry about anything. You don't have, just go. So how does a person like Charlotte or Lauren, who are the opposite of my personality type, how do they know, how does your system help them to know how to speak to certain people?
It's a great question. You need to obviously you need to know who your audience is, right? So if you're marketing to wealthy, busy executives, you're absolutely right, Sajad. I mean, they're not going to read long paragraphs of stuff. And for a Clarify person, right, what you are asking me to do in your system is really hard. Like, I need someone who takes my verbal diarrhea and gets it down to a bullet point. I'm one of those people who will write, a 4-paragraph email when it could have been said in 2 sentences. And I really have to work hard at doing it. So one is, you got to know who your audience is, right? What is it that they are looking for? However, having said that, and to my previous point, when you speak from who you are, and you can do so authentically, the people who are looking for that type of person are gonna zero in. I forget what it's the something reticular activating system in our brains, right? When we're looking for stuff. Anyway,
like attracts.
Right. I mean, it's going on subconsciously, and when they come across it and they see words that resonate with them, that resonate in terms of what their needs are, they're going to zero in on it, and they're going to say, that's the person I need to talk to. I don't know if I'm giving you a satisfactory answer, but you absolutely need to know who your audience is. You need to be concise, but you need to speak authentically, because people, especially busy executives, they have a pretty fine-tuned bullshit meter, right? And so if you're just spewing off all sorts of stuff that you think they want to hear, rather than speaking authentically, my experience is that they usually can pick up on that, and they push you to the side.
Yeah, I got a follow. Suzanne, may I ask one more?
Yeah, sure.
There's a follow-up to that. So what Michelle showed me is that the people that hire me are the opposite, right? Like the analytic, the clarifying, the long-winded, the researchers, and within bank it's called the knowledge people. The latest guy that hired me is worth, or he makes 320,000 a year, but he said, my business is a total mess. I'm unorganized. It's very successful, but unorganized. So, but Suzanne, I think it's the opposite. I don't think it's like necessarily attracts like in terms of the need part. Like might attract like in terms of the personality part, but what I found is that the people that hire me are the really annoying people. The people that are the opposite of me are the ones that hire me, because I'm the missing piece, which is go, 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 go. They've got the research, analyze part down pat. The actually getting anything done is the part they're afraid to do.
Yeah, the last thing I'm gonna hire, I don't need a clarifier. Oh my God. Like I'd have to
drive me crazy. Please don't clarify anything for me. Please don't.
Right. I'd have to shoot myself.
Yeah.
So you're right, Sajad. I mean, but I am sensitive to what I need. And when I hear what you have to offer, and it's authentic, comes across authentic, then it's like, yeah, that's the person I need, because I don't do any of that well. So I need somebody to help me do it. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I wanted to just say that Don, before he left, he's a challenge the status quo. Why? Like I am. And we were just sharing a couple things back and forth privately. And one of those things is, when you're a challenger, especially when you're out there in the world looking for clients, or you're talking to people, if you can stand in being the challenger. So I hid that for a long time because I was afraid to either offend or not win the client or whatever. And actually the exact opposite is true. The wealthier someone is, or the higher their position, they have fewer and fewer and fewer people who are bold and honest with them. And as soon as I realized that, things started to shift in my coaching practice. And I'll give you this example. Somebody wanted to hire me, very successful company CEO, and he wasn't sure. And I said, well, listen, when is the last time you had a business coach who could also solve your weight problem? And he was like, weight problem? And I was like, well, you're 50, 60 pounds overweight. How's that serving you being newly single? And he was like, oh shit. Wow. And so he hired a business coach who could also help him with his diet and weight loss because I challenged him to be a better leader by being a better example for the people that were following him. People want to follow somebody because they get to, not because they have to. And you have to be the best version of yourself to do that. But I wasn't brave enough to say things like that before knowing these things about myself. So it's been really, really impactful to be bolder. And if you want to work with people who have the money to work with you, people who are more successful because it's going to elevate your brand and your company, if you want to do that, the more honest you can be, the more bold you can be, even if you're not a challenger. It's real. They have fewer people who do that with them.
Thank you. Yeah, that's
yeah.
Makes sense.
It's been
Can
really
I just say
impactful.
something?
Yes,
Sure.
Pat.
I tend to be more of an analytical person, and yet all my former clients are all action takers.
Mm.
And what they like is I get right to the heart of the matter, and I guess deal very quickly. I'm able to tell them the truth that they really wanted to know, but they really never wanted to know.
Mm.
But by knowing it, it just shifts their action really 10 times faster. Is that what you mean, Suzanne?
Yes. Yes, exactly. It's that opposite. I'm attracted to mentors and coaches and even clients who not only inspire me, but challenge me to learn something new, do something better, step out of my box even further, because that's inspiring to me because I want to grow not only as a coach, a businesswoman, but in the work I'm doing with my clients. And if I do that, it gives me permission to have clients that do that, but I have to do it first.
Yeah, I like that.
Feels good.
So can you still see the screen with everybody's?
No, you have to reshare.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right.
That's okay. I stopped it so I could see everybody and hands and all that.
Hang on. I just want to make one more observation. One other method that I use that may be useful to all of you or to your clients. So when you look at this screen, right, you see all of these individuals listed on the left, and then their why, how, and what across the screen. And if I expanded it, this column to the right of the what is what's their position. So imagine, if you would, that all of you work for the same company, okay? One way, or you're on an executive team, leadership team, one way that I utilize this information is this would be what I call a why matrix. Lists everybody down the left side, their why, how, and what, and the role that they play in the company. And one of the things that I do is I invite the executive team to sort of take a look at this why matrix. And you would be stunned at the number of times people who have worked for each other for a long time, when they see this information in front of them, it's like, oh, now I get it. Now I get why, these two people get along really well and these two don't. Because one of the things that I find on teams is that if you have this list up in front of you, I can guarantee you that if you take two individuals on this team, if they have any one of their top three in common with the other person, those two people are far more likely to get along and work well together in the sandbox. Reason? They see the world through a similar lens. And when you have people who don't have any of their three in common, chances are very good that there's friction between those two people. And so for leaders of companies, finding this stuff out and understanding what really motivates the people on their team is incredibly impactful for them. So I just wanted to share that as another mechanism, in addition to finding out an individual's why, how, and what, and putting them in a position where they can be feel most successful. It's really valuable for helping teams of leaders improve their communication with one another and how they get along. So I just wanted to share that. And I recognize we're gone over, and this is filled with bourbon and it's almost empty.
Oh,
so I don't know how much longer I'll be able to stand here.
Nice. I do
No,
have
I'm happy.
one. I have a question for
Yeah.
you. I'm wondering how, a team would use this to actually, like what you said, but also how to work with each other better. Because knowing yourself and then knowing the person, I know I can tell how it's helped you with your clients. So if you're a coach and you're looking to work with whether it's groups of people, so a group coaching program, for example, if you had this on everyone in the program, how could a coach use that not only for the group dynamics, but also to kind of tailor the content so it better serves all the challengers and all the make sensors and all the clarifiers?
I think in many ways you've answered your own question.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's that when you see this,
yeah,
you have a greater appreciation for how to present information to people in a way that resonates with them. Right. So, and I know you and I, because, we are in a coaching relationship, right? When you speak to me or present ideas to me, I'm fairly certain that you do that in a way that is different than if you were speaking to Charlotte, or if you were speaking to Sajad, or if you know what I mean? You picked up on, even without this data in front of you, like you've picked up on what I'm motivated by, and I'll ask you another question, and I'll ask you another question, and I'll ask you another question. And so when you come into our conversations, you probably come into them because you've got mastery. I mean, you probably come in with a set agenda. You know what you're going to talk about. You probably anticipate the 101 questions I'm going to ask. So anyway, does that?
I mean,
kind of the way you would approach it.
So just thinking that, I think it would, if I do that naturally, having the information would make it more intentional, more conscious, more deliberate, so that if you're running a group of 10, it's easy to do it kind of off the cuff. But if you're running a group of 20, 30, 50 people, it becomes more important to know who's in the room.
And yes, you are absolutely right. And remember that each of these top three is what this person needs.
Right.
And so you are able to meet their needs for clarity, problem solving, mastery, or whatever the top three are, in how you deliver your content to those people.
Yeah.
Right. Both in a group setting and one-on-one. So that would be, yes, understanding what motivates everybody in the room is going to help you be a more effective leader, a more effective coach.
Well, I'm already thinking that for a larger group, that means that breakout rooms could be centered on you two. You better stop it. I don't know what's going on in the chat over there, but just know when I save the chat at the end of the meeting, I can read it all. Just saying. So, just saying. Anyway, sorry, Sajad's and Drew's giggling. I knew something was going on. Sorry.
Talk shit. I privately talk shit back.
It's okay. It's okay. So now I'm thinking, with a group of 40, Drew's working on, groups of men. And if he knew this information, then the breakout rooms could be geared towards challengers in one room, clarifiers in another room, content, customized for those people, or you mix up people so there's one of each in a room and you get these different perspectives. We could go back to exchange facilitation principles where you want to bring in those different perspectives, not only in the main room but in the breakout room. That could be really intriguing.
Yeah, and similarly inside a company, right, on an executive team, to your point, very often senior leaders don't get challenged,
right?